Hi there, welcome back to the ERS video training series. This is going to be a brief tutorial on placing orders and creating quotes in the back end, as well as dealing with rain checks. So let's start by going to Scheduling, Book an Event. So in many ways, the ordering process through the back end is similar to the ordering process on the front end live website, but because you're logged into the system as an employee, you have more capabilities than your customers do on the front end. Now, once you've picked your date and time, you have the capability of clicking into the categories and shopping in much the same way that your customers would. And by the way, you can tell right here that the system tells you how many of the units are available during the date and time you've selected, which again is something your customers can't do on the front end. But actually, the easiest and quickest way to place an order in the back end is, again, once you've chosen your date and time, to go ahead and click on Quick Order. And this is going to bring up all of your inventory, and you can just click on these drop-down menus and add items all at once. The only exceptions are your time and time items. Time and time, in case you're not familiar with it, is a feature that allows you to set certain items as being able to be rented during only a portion of the rental time. For example, if you have an all-day event from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and they'd like a face painter but only from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., then having your face painter be a time and time item allows you to have a time selector specifically for that item. So again, your time and time items won't show up on this screen. You'll have to add those ones in the standard way where you click into the category. And the items that are unavailable will show up grayed out. Now you can also click here to update the price of an item. You can also do things like add a note or reorder the items. And again, these are things that you can do because you're an employee of the company, but your customers can't do on your live website. Another thing you'll find here in the back end that your customers won't see on the front end is a customer search. And you can do admin types of things in here as well, like add internal notes, apply discounts, override fees, add miscellaneous fees, or specify a customer status. Marking a customer as bad means that they can no longer place an order on your website. They'll receive a customizable error message, which by default says, "We're sorry we were unable to complete your order." If you mark the customer as bad cleared, that means there was an issue in the past, but it's since been cleared up, and you're willing to do business with the customer again. And if you don't do anything in here, the system treats the customer as good. Alright, so we've got everything in there, and we're ready to cash out. We can select a payment type here. And once again, there are a lot more options here than there are on the front-end website. For example, a customer may have mailed you a check, so you could mark that paid here. And of course, you can do the same with cash. But in any case, if you'd like to add something or remove something from this list of payment types, you can do so at Admin Order Config Payment Types. I strongly recommend you read the knowledge base article on payment types and check in with the tech support team before you submit any changes to your payment types. Since this has to do with your company's money, best to be safe about it. Now this is important. Regardless of what payment type we choose from this drop-down menu, once we submit the order, it is an active order. So if I'm, for example, taking a phone order, then I'm going to submit and send receipt because I want the customer to receive their emailed receipt. But if, for example, all I'm doing is updating a customer's address, then I do need to come to this screen and submit the order with the updates made. But if I submit and send receipts, then I'm going to spam the customer with a bunch of unnecessary emails. So in that case, I would choose Submit Without Receipt. Just remember that once you submit with or without receipt from this screen, the order is active. And if you don't submit from this screen, again, with or without receipt, then the order is not active. You can also send a quote from this screen. Sending a quote does not make the order active. It does not reserve the inventory. But it does give the customer a link that they can click on to pay their deposit and make the order active. So I'm going to go ahead and submit and send receipt. Now another helpful trick in the ERS backend is the Quick Quote. Quick Quote enables you to get just the name and email address and send a customer a quote. So let's pretend a customer is calling us and would like to get a quote. We'll ask them what day they want to rent. And what's their start and end time. And remember, these can be time slots if you prefer it that way. It can be a day selector if you do all-day rentals. Really, whatever you want it to be. This, like every other part of the ordering process, is fully customizable. Those sorts of settings are determined by schedule profiles and price rules. So if you'd like to change those settings with some or all of your inventory, I encourage you to read the knowledge base article about schedule profiles and also the one about price rules. And I also strongly encourage you to reach out to the tech support department. Schedule profiles, price rules, and availability rule sets can get a little bit complex, so it helps to have an expert guiding you through. Alright, so back to our order. The customer just wants a quick quote for a birthday bounce house and a snow cone machine. So once we've gotten the items in the cart, we can click up here, and as you can see, the only fields that are required in this form are the first name and email. So once we've submitted, we just go up here and send the quick quote. So then as the customer, I can come into my email inbox and click on a link to reserve the order. Now remember, until the customer actually submits their deposit payment, the inventory is not reserved, and this is not an active order. And it's really easy to keep all of that straight by going into the Scheduling tab and toggling between your active orders, incomplete, sent quotes, canceled, etc. And by the way, remember there are also different views. I like Events List, but some people like Expanded Events. You can also look at date ranges up to 30 days. All right, let's look at how to cancel an order and apply a rain check, and then how to redeem the rain check later. So if you're in the Events List view, you cancel by clicking on this gear. You can enter in your notes here, and you can either apply a rain check or not. And if you're in any other menu view, you can find the little toggle switch at the bottom of the screen in order to cancel an order. But again, I like the Events List view, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel the event from here. Now, it's very important that when the customer calls back to cash in their rain check, that you not reactivate their old order. Reactivating their old order won't resolve the rain check that you have in your system, so your rain check report will still show an outstanding rain check for that customer. In addition, if the customer has a different order this time, then you'll lose your historical data. For example, maybe in the past they wanted a Princess Bounce House, but this time they want a Birthday Bounce House. In the future, if you're ever sending out targeted marketing emails, you probably want to send them one that targets people who rented a Princess Bounce House and people who rented a Birthday Bounce House. But if you just reactivated their old order, the system will lose the historical data that tells you that, yeah, they're interested in the Princess Bounce House this time, but they were interested in the Birthday Bounce House last time. So again, it's important not to reactivate old orders, but rather to create a new order and apply the rain check to the new order. So when the customer calls back, I'm going to place their order in the standard way, and when we get to the payment screen is when I'll apply the rain check. And then when we get to this screen, we can select rain check from this list. Now, one last thing to take a quick look at before we wrap up is our reports. Earlier, we looked at our rain checks report, and we can see that the system reflects that we've already used that rain check. And there's also a receivables report. Through this report, you can manage the order, you can manage payments, and you can send an email directly to the customer. All right, that about wraps it for this tutorial. I hope this was helpful. Remember, anytime you're working in the system and you have questions, the knowledge base is your friend. And you can also reach out to the tech support department at 505-435-9731, extension 102, or support@eventrentalsystems.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.